You can't know what you will achieve or what you can achieve in your life until you do it, until you have the courage to do that thing that's in front of you that you know you want to do. And then there may be other times where you won't know that you've done it until you look back. That's why we have hindsight. We can look at what we might have done in our lives, and we can make different choices now because we've learned something from what we have done previously. That's how we all evolve. And our world evolves in that manner as well. But we may not have recognized that movement within ourselves. But I'm going to tell you something. To say that it, I was surprised. I had to look at this. I have the first foolproof personal development program. I wanted to say that years ago, but I said people aren't going to believe that. They're not going to understand it. And then what is it supposed to do? Well, it'll help you personally develop. Personally develop. That's all we're ever doing. We're not doing it out there for anyone else. We're doing it personally. But then we have ways of doing it. And we learn those over time. And we've been given different ways of viewing ourselves and viewing the world. We've learned through the sciences. We've learned through different techniques that have been developed. We cognitive behavior training. We know about neuroscience now. We know a lot of things that we did not know many years ago. But sometimes we forget what we know also, or sometimes we don't want to own it. And that's really what our journey is. Our journey is always about self-acceptance. It's nothing more than that. Why would you have been born unless it was to accept yourself? But then the other thing that we can do is not understand our individual journey and also why our uniqueness is important. Because we're supposed to bring something new. We're not supposed to be the same people who live. We're not supposed to be our parents. We're supposed to be so much more than they could be. But we forget. Now, I forgot. But that was a different journey that I took. You have a different journey as well. But what I did, I put up the messages for tomorrow. Today is September 30th, but I put up the messages for October 1st because I want you to see those. Because this is the phenomenon that I'm going to talk about and now own, because I must do that. You have to own what you discover about yourself, and you do not know what it's going to be. It's expansive. There's no limits to what you could achieve because it's only occurring in your consciousness. Now, the difficulty that we have is that our consciousness has been formed before. It's been programmed for what we choose to believe and what we can accept. And sometimes certain things we can't accept. I couldn't accept this. I'm just going to tell you straight up, I couldn't accept it. It was just shocking to me. Because in 1989, when I sat down and started doing automatic writing, it was never for the intention, with the intention of being here, of doing this. It was just, I needed help. I needed to change who I was. And I'm just asking for answers. I'm going to put out a whole series of that explanation because people will want to know that journey. But this is what it looked like until 5 years ago. And it was this. It started in 1989. That's when I sat down and received the first Wilhelm message. I didn't know why I was saving them. I didn't know what I was going to do with them. And I really didn't know, but I just felt compelled that I was supposed to save them in some manner. And but I wasn't going to tell you. I hid it from everyone because it didn't make sense. You may have hidden things from yourself because becoming our authentic selves is not always easy. Because again, we have to move through this place of accepting our uniqueness and being different. You may have felt out of place your entire life. But I wasn't going to tell you about this because I didn't understand it. Now I do. Because I developed an ability to receive information because we only evolve in our consciousness and we form different ways, and over times people have developed different ways. I never went into studying astrology or anything like that. I never went into doing even spiritual work or channeling. That was never what I was going to do. I did everything else. But at the same time, I was doing these messages every day in the background. You've been developing something in your background as well. And it's probably coming up now because the world is changing and asking you to own yourself. And that's what I had to do. And so I put up the messages for tomorrow because I want you to see them. This is something that not a lot of people will believe because I couldn't believe it. I had no conscious awareness that this was occurring, where I was receiving the information of what was occurring in our world over time on the same date, year after year, 36 years. And then what happened as a result of that, I kept healing. I kept understanding things, and my body kept changing. And I got mind-body techniques. I started understanding consciousness in a different way. I started understanding energy. I started understanding it because I was receiving that information, and it came from Wilhelm. It wasn't me. That's the problem that many of us have with understanding this. There's a greater intelligence, and that's what I tapped into, and it is organized. And you will see all of that because I've laid it out, and I wanted you to have it. And it's organized for you. Every individual has a unique life plan, and it's energetic, meaning the time that you were born, that day you have a DNA, and that gives you your life path and the difficulties, the challenges, and the things that you want to move through or overcome. And this is a generational change that we're in now, so more of us are looking at our ancestry because it's there. It's been with you for your entire life. But that ancestry has been with all of humankind, you see. And so Wilhelm says, we're going to give you a new philosophy that'll allow more people to know who they are and live really great lives. And so now I can say they've done that. And it's been proven through energetic alignment. That's why I know that this is a foolproof personal development program, because the others, you go and you do something and then you're done. And then you go back to your life and nothing's changed because the work has to happen internally. That's what I was doing every day. I wasn't doing it out there. I was doing it internally. I was receiving all of it. But because I did that, it turned into something extraordinary and revolutionary that no one has seen. So I do understand it's challenging. Whenever you develop something new, the masses don't believe it, and they keep doing the same thing because we don't like the unknown. How could this guy sit down for 36 years and receive all this information and completely healed his life, and anyone who did this work? You can see that because I'm being completely honest. You'll hear people talking about what happened for them as they did this work. And guess what? They only had 31 days of it. I have 36 years. Though all of that, what you saw, that's what I have still yet to put together, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to finish this philosophy because it'll change our world, because it takes each person to becoming who they're meant to be. It has them move through their generational biases and hatred and judgments and all of that, and they start to love themselves, and then they start to love others. And then you see that the world start to change, because now we're not hating one another because we say, oh, wait a minute, everybody's a human. That's what happened. And you will see it, and it's organized. And the only reason that you would be having difficulty is that you have not chosen to take the next step in self-acceptance. That's for any person. Doesn't matter who you are. That's why I say this works for anyone, because I'll be 75 on November 2nd, and I'm now taking this next journey. So it doesn't matter how old you are, there is still more, because what you're meant to do occurs in your consciousness, and if you still have cognitive abilities, you can still do something. And probably if you do this work, your cognitive abilities will improve. That's the other thing that we don't usually understand, is that we can anti-age, and that's what's happened for me because of this work. It wasn't me, it was what I received. And as you move through the messages that are on there for October 1st, because I put them up now because I wanted you to have them, but I did something else. I put an analysis of my birth chart. Why would they be connected to the Wilhelm messages? And you'll see an interesting story that unfolds, and why it's unfolding at a particular time and for October 1st. You have timing in your life. You have a goal you're meant to do. You have something that's meant to come about now, and it's here. And so as you move through this, I'm going to give you a couple of documents because I want you to have it. But the wonderful thing is seeing how this is all aligned. We are looking at our world and seeing all kinds of what seems like chaos and conflict and all that. It's not. I can say that because Wilhelm gave us all that information and it was organized. We're creating something better, and it can only happen when you decide to become your best self. It can only happen when you decide to do what you came to do, and that's what I'm doing because I'm supposed to be the example. Sometimes we're not doing that, being that leader, but now I am. These are the messages that are on the site Any Advice for Today. I put them up today, but they're for October 1st of 2025. And you will see there's an order there. And as you go through each year, it's a 17-year cycle. And as you go through it, you will see that each year it builds upon itself and it starts to get you to understand who you are. That's what this work is about. When I was doing this my entire life, I thought, am I doing this just for me? And Wilhelm says no. And you'll see that definition. I was doing this for the collective. I was doing this for everyone. But I wasn't going to accept it. Just like you haven't accepted something that you could still do. That's why this is here. And the reason I say this is foolproof, because there's no way you could fail. You can't. Because if you're doing this, you're going to come up with questions. You're going to come up with some sort of difficulty. Well, the question, the answer has already been given. I've already written the answer because Wilhelm has given it to me. If you look at this, this is only a small portion of all the information that I've done year after year, day after day. That's why I know it's foolproof. And then when you get stuck, guess what? I can answer the question because I have the questions from Wilhelm, or I go in and I do my Wilhelm thing and get more answers because there's a continuation of consciousness that is always occurring. But I had to give you this today because the last several years of my life have been so challenging because I couldn't tell you what this was. I couldn't tell anyone what it was because I didn't know. I didn't know that I had done something revolutionary that people couldn't understand. But I know now because I know what's happening in our world, and I know that how vital it is for you to move beyond your fear, your doubt, and shame and embarrassment and do what you came to do, because that's an energetic shift that will happen within you and within our world. So now you get to look at all of this and see that you are here for a really great reason and to do something, and now you have a way to do that. And so those of you who have been wondering, what is this work? What is Roger doing? What's this work about? What is your last development program? It is the Foolproof Personal Development Program. It took me years to be able to tell you that because I kept knowing it like a long time ago. I said, I've gone through everything. I've answered I've done all these things. I said, and I look at others and I go, why are they still struggling? I don't want them to struggle anymore. The answers are here. But I understand. I didn't believe myself either. So you'll do it when you're ready. Anyhow, I'm giving you this today because I really needed to explain it because I absolutely know where we are going and what's going to be happening in the next several days. And if you become happy and in love with yourself, the world will become better. And you'll see all of that in the messages. Interesting thing. I just got to do this one for you. Sometimes you can even be afraid of your gifts, and I've been afraid of mine because I knew exactly that we would be in this place on October 1st of 2025. I'm saying I didn't know anything, but Wilhelm did. And so if you read this message, the messages are up there, but read all of them. But this is the essence of what you're meant to understand. Your birth this time is almost complete. We know that most of you do not accept or understand our references entirely to your many lives or the eternal nature of your being, but we will still offer this wisdom unbeknownst to you at this time, as it will help you. As we have said, you are moving through a massive restructuring of your world, and the United States is leading the way. You each are in the process of restructuring yourselves, and you will know how well you might be proceeding by how you feel. We will tie this together with Roger's story, and it is only meant as guidance for you to uncover yours. On February 1st of this year, again, we're in 2020, remember, of this year, we gave Roger one of our cryptic messages, which he has not visited recently, and we told him not to do so, but place it at the end of this message, for it will be far more impactful, at least to him. This morning, when Roger awakened, we had him pay attention to this date and notice that it would have been 9 months in November, the typical time of human gestation. We thought that coincidence would be fun. Again, our aim here is for you to come to understand that you are not living an accidental life. With every birth you've experienced, you've feared your emergence into the world and your visibility. You felt far safer hidden in the womb. Your world's current conditions will no longer allow you to do this, for you want to evolve as does the world, and you are all one. We told you Roger was holding a webinar yesterday and it would produce excellent results, which we would speak about today. The results were different from what he imagined. While it went well and Roger delivered what he promised, there was still one thing he was unwilling to change, which each of you is feeling now in your own way. Roger sent an email reply to the replay to the webinar and found that the original link he sent didn't work. Roger's embarrassment was overwhelming. You each carry certain traits for generations that do not serve your evolvement, and the biggest one is self-judgment. Roger told his associate about this, and who talked him off the ledge, and he felt a weight lifted. Then we led Roger to a video this morning that said something which might help many of you. We paraphrase, however. You have just elevated the phase late bloomer to a new height. Wow, yes, 9 months are pertinent and it will aid your restructuring, but you must be patient with the world and yourself, as you always resist change, and doing it collectively is stressful. The instructions we gave Roger were detailed. Make a detailed schedule and follow it each day. Not only would it allow you to do the work he's avoided for lifetimes, finally, but more importantly, it will help him and you move through this turbulent times ahead with more ease. I didn't do that. We never follow through right away. This is why Wilhelm keeps repeating things. However, when you go through this document, you'll come to the end and you'll see all of these documents that are there, where all these messages over years are there to show you the connection that Wilhelm has given us, and there's no question that you could possibly have that they haven't answered. That's why I know my life led me to create the first foolproof personal development program. So check it out, because now I'll be changing it, doing this on after tomorrow. You'll see all of this coming through, because all of this work is going in there, especially for my wonderful people who are doing this work, the program. Yeah, we're having a really great time seeing beyond what's happening and creating something new, and that's what you're meant to do. Please check it out today, because it will be changing. See you all soon. But I'm doing this too because there are many people who didn't understand what this work was, and I want you to have this video so now finally we can all be on the same page. It's about time for us to elevate all of our lives to another state. See you soon.